Mood gang. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday, August 3rd. We're about 30 minutes from market open, folks. You see it. Too harmful, too dangerous. Too harmful, too dangerous. That's how we're rocking it on this show today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. A couple things. Let's dive into it. Get everyone set up for the day. Hang on one second. Don't really need these yet. I'm sure NASA's not even awake yet. Hold on. Hodl, hodl, hodl. We hodl on, as the title of today's stream depicts. All right, let's hop into all the good stuff. First of all, yesterday night, I think it was around 6 p.m. Eastern, I posted the video, the interview with Dave Lauer, all about dark pools, all about payment for order flow. We talked a little bit about naked shorting, market makers in general. If you have any questions about dark pools and payment for order flow and what is or isn't going on, I highly recommend checking out that interview. Dave Lauer, once again, if you happen to be listening right now, thank you so much. His knowledge is absolutely incredible. The fact that he took more than an hour out of his day to really dive into it and just help this community. Like, the guy is doing it for free. Like, it's truly out of the kindness of his heart. So once again, if you have any questions on payment for order flow, dark pools, I recommend checking it out. The interview is about an hour long. So if, I don't know, if you're driving or on like the train or commuting or on a run, something like that, maybe that's a good time to check it out, listen to it. On the extra channel, the new channel that's pinned to the top of chat right now, we're going to clip some of the main questions of, like, does payment for order flow make naked shorting easier? Does dark pools make naked shorting easier? Things like that, like very specific questions that were asked a lot. They're on that channel that's right above my head. If you haven't seen that channel yet, check it out, subscribe, like, blah, 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 all that good stuff. We also use that channel as more of a chat room for the midday session when I'm not here rambling on about weird stuff. So basically that in between from like 11:15 to 1:45, like roughly that in between when I'm not sitting right here live on this channel, we use that channel for some lo-fi music in the background. If you want to chat with people, see what's going on with AMC and GME, that kind of seems to be where we're rocking with that, at least the direction of it now. And really it's just meant as a backup. But overall, here, let's hop into some of these things. Right now, AMC is kind of flat compared to where it closed yesterday. It's trading at 35.11. GME's at 157.11. We will be doing some Tiblio stuff today. Let me just reload this just to see if there's Vortex login. All right, here we go. Okay, so the short interest right now. Why is this not? Let me copy this over. AMC. All right, perfect. Perfect. AMC short interest is 15%. Nothing borrowed against it thus far today. Overall, the shares on loan, 98 million. Utilization is 90%. So still pretty considerably high. GameStop short interest is 15.18%. So right now, usually for a bit there, we saw GameStop at first for quite a while, or like over the calendar year, GME was higher, and then recently it's been lower. Now they're roughly equal. Shares on loan on GME hopped up to 9 million and utilization is 43%. So that's kind of your Ortex start for the day. Obviously, we will be tracking this throughout the day, especially like, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 minutes into the day. That's where we tend to see kind of some of the biggest borrows, some of the biggest returns. So we'll be cycling back to that. In terms of crypto did pop up and now it seems to be selling off a little bit. I guess as I'm saying this, Cardano is bouncing, Ethereum's bouncing a bit. But overall, we saw the spike in crypto, a little bit of rejuvenation in the excitement for crypto at large, and it seems to be calming down a little bit. I mean, for me, I don't actively trade crypto. It's a long-term play. I'm talking a decade plus. Either will be, in my opinion, I'll either be very right or very wrong. I do have all the ones on the screen right now: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Doge. I'm in all of them. I'm in even some more Algorand. Someone talked me into buying some Hex, but in general, I just want to make it very clear. as of now, and I really don't have any plans to be changing this, I'm in no way actively trading crypto. I just buy it on dips, and years down the road, I hope I'm going to be very, very right. In terms of the overall market, yesterday was a very interesting, strange day in the S&P 500. A strange Monday to kick off the week, the month. We had some. This was a new all-time high on Friday. I believe it was on Friday. Yeah. So the 29th, actually Thursday, a new all-time high. And then Friday was a weird day. And then yesterday we gapped up and then sold off. I'm sure a lot of it had to do with just we've been seeing a series of earnings reports. Last week we had big ones. This week again, yesterday, today actually, Alibaba's reporting, Under Armour's reporting, Marriott, Discovery, Phillips 66. That's a huge company, obviously Sunoco. We have Lyft and Uber reporting. Lyft is after the market closes today. Uber is after the market closes tomorrow. Then we have CVS. Some Goodyear. So, and this is just like a little, Dropbox. We all know what that is. The main one I've been paying attention to, and there's a ton, is Alibaba, BABA. Activision, I think they're actually going through some issues right now, like almost like social issues within the company. So I wonder if they're going to have any commentary on that. We also know that there's going to be an increase in competition from Amazon Gaming. Interesting to pay attention to. Beyond Meat, always interesting to hear what they're saying in terms of how that's going. Can it be growth for everyone in the marinara industry? So we do have an interesting, and this is by far not it. The list goes on and on and on. But shout out to Bazinga for posting this. Bazinga, this is the same thing that we're using here. If you want a free trial, it's in the link in the description. Completely free. Check it out. See what products you do or don't like. GM's reporting. So overall, I think we're seeing some weird action in the market at large just because of the amount of reports. And obviously, people are concerned about the new D variant. Is the world going to lock down? Is it not going to lock down? This is in no way my commentary. I'm not a scientist. Don't come to me for all of this like information on what that is or isn't doing. I'm here to highlight what it could or might not do to the overall market. So last week, we kind of saw it. Maybe that was 2 weeks ago when there was a red Monday. We do have the concept of a turnaround Tuesday, but this was only barely red because we did have the gap up. So that's not the exact scenario for a turnaround Tuesday. And I'm not saying that today won't be a turnaround Tuesday. I'm just saying like statistically what I know the odds on is not necessarily this information, because usually it's just when you open up, you're kind of at the same value you sell off. This was a gap up and a sell off. So kind of a weird mixed bag, but who knows? It might just end up being a normal turnaround Tuesday, because this is what I'm talking about. We gapped up, and then the close was below the open, and on an intraday basis, it dropped 0.6%, and even then, you're generally looking for a drop of over 1% for a turnaround Tuesday. But we are gapping up in pre-market. We're still in this range. This on July 29th. That was an all-time high for the market. So we are very much in striking distance of making a brand new high for the overall S&P 500. AMC, ever since July 22nd, just been grinding sideways. We do have support between this low of 34.69 and then also 33.50. That's the region of support we're kind of watching right now. In pre-market trading, it looks like we are at 35.11. In terms of GME, we are at the bottom of this support, and we are looking for it to hold. It looks like it's gapping down below that. If it does, my next watch is 150, and below that, 145, just from a technical basis. Obviously, it can pull a U-turn whenever the buyers step in. But from technicals, I'm just looking at some of the areas it bounced in before. We do have a lot of chop in this April, early May segment. So I'm hoping that serves as some overall support that we could use. Buff stuff 24/7, not expecting much today, just gonna listen. It is a weird Tuesday, and we're still in August. Overall, it's very important to note that the stock market, and obviously an individual stock can deviate from the seasonal pattern, but the overall stock market in the month of August commonly, statistically, is just some sideways chop. Obviously, AMC can deviate from that, GME can deviate from it, but just going into it for the stock market in its entirety, I'm just kind of expecting some sideways chop. So for me, the way I would use that information is to not be so aggressive in buying any call options, buying any put options. I'm just not looking at, I guess, massive movement across the board. I think it'll be kind of sideways. So more of like, hey, you're just hodling your stocks. Okay, you're good to go with that. And then if you really are an options player, maybe just selling some premium, selling some calls, selling some puts, if you don't think there's going to be any major movement. And obviously that does change from stock to stock to stock. But in general, that's kind of like the basis I would work with. And then I would create trading plans off of that. But remember, it can change. Like, obviously, trends are there and they can get bucked. It's not that we're necessarily like sticking with each trend, but that would be my basis. And I would look for really good theories or price action or fundamental developments to kind of change that overall plan. Specific to AMC, do not forget that next Monday, this upcoming Monday, August 9th, we do have the earnings announcement. This time it's a little bit different. They are allowing people to submit questions, which I think was pretty cool. Here, let me show you this. It loads. Okay, Adam Aaron. So this was his announcement. The earnings call is coming on August 9th. And also right here, if you come to his Twitter, I believe I also retweeted it, you can post your questions here. Really smart questions thus far. Kind of cool. I was just looking at, what are these? I was just looking at some of the highest vote ones. Do you have any plans to offer a dividend again? I would like to know the answer to that. Personally, I like this one as well. Does AMC currently have any ongoing investigations that may involve the SEC? So good questions. If you have a question that you're not really seeing being asked, obviously drop it in here. You can drop it in, and if it gets enough upvotes, I'm sure the leadership team at AMC will see it. But I think this is really, really cool for them to do it this way. To me, it's just another instance of the leadership team at AMC listening to the majority of their investors, which is us. It's the apes. So I think this is a cool way to kind of see what they aren't saying. And for me, on this side of it, it's kind of cool to see specifically what the community is actually interested in. Right now, I thought the dividend question would be high, but I mean, it's almost doubling any other question. Drive-in theaters. How is AMC preparing for the possible large-scale COVID surge could potentially shut down theaters again? These are all very, very good intellectual questions that are going to directly impact the stock. So even if you don't want to submit one, I recommend just checking out what people are asking. It's good to understand who your fellow investors, the apes fighting in the trenches, truly are. So I think that's interesting. Check that out. When the market gets going today, we're going to go over some Tiblio stuff. Like I said, I'm expecting some chop, which is a prime time to sell some credit spreads, make some extra money when things aren't moving really that much. So I'm excited to go over that and lay out some of my own plans on what I might or might not do. Cool stuff across the board. AMC and GME. I'm seeing low volume thus far. I mean, AMC 255,000, GME 5,000. On these ones, there is potential right now that it might be more of a sideways, boring grind day. We're not seeing much volume midweek, no big announcements. It is August. So I'm not saying anything really good, not saying anything really bad. I'm just saying it might be a classic boring day. So it might be one of those days where we're learning about other things, whether it's crypto, whether it's options, whether it's futures. We might be looking at some other stocks to see if there's other money-making opportunity. But across the board, what we're seeing right now is just a little bit of some boring action. I mean, 5,000. And I know this is just thus far until the market opens in about 15 minutes. GME, I mean, that's pitifully low. I know this is just the volume from Webull as of now, and then at 9:30 they load in all of the pre-market data. But I mean, low, and then AMC 250,000. Like, we're just seeing low volume right now, and that's okay. Low volume, it's just more of neutral. It's not good, it's not bad for right now. It's just we got to see how all the things actually shake out. All right, let me get to your questions. Maybe you have dangerously positive energy and YouTube can't match the vibe. Good morning, Matt. Let's get this bread. Shout out. Matt, your glasses are reflecting your camera light. Yeah, I mean, isn't that, I don't know what, that's just physics. I I can't change that one, Ashley. Hey, March, can you check the puts on IWM? I seen on Reddit that there's 500 million in puts on the Russell, stopping IWM from running in turning holding AMC down. Also, largest shareholder of IWM is Citadel. Yeah, so I was looking at that. Let me think about the best way to word this. IWM is the Russell 2000. It is a way people who are betting against it, that to me sounds more of like a COVID Rona bet of if they shut the world down, of course, small cap businesses are going to be absolutely demolished. There's a lot of money betting against IWM to the tune of way more than AMC alone is worth. Remember, it's called the Russell 2000 because there's actually over, but let's just call it 2000, but there's over 2,000 different companies in that index. You do not short a ETF that has 1 divided by 2,000 exposure to the company. If you're trying to drag AMC down through an ETF, there are a handful of like ETFs that are way better than IWM. Is there a sizable bet against it in terms of magnitude? Yes. Does that mean that IWM alone has a high short interest? No, because there's a lot of shares out there. The size of the bet against IWM is considerable. It's actually very considerable. Like, it's a lot of money. But I would not draw that to be, they're specifically betting against AMC, because it just doesn't make sense. You could easily find ETFs that have more exposure to AMC. If you bring down IWM, and this isn't exactly right, but for the point of this conversation, it's close enough. If you bring it down to 1%, the net impact on AMC would be 1/2000th of that. Remember, with an ETF, whatever that ETF drops, you then have to look at the proportionate exposure to the stock within it to understand that potential impact. So to me, the way I would interpret the IWM bearish bets is more of they're betting against the economy in case there's another shutdown. The fact that like people are trying to draw anything that happens in the overall market to AMC and GME right now, and I just don't know. It's just not realistic. I mean, people are looking at $1 trillion in reverse repos, and they're saying that's because of AMC and GME. I mean, AMC, we have to be a little realistic at sometimes in the sense that the market cap is $17.6 billion. There's no way they would somehow do a $1 trillion reverse repo, for a company that's worth $17 billion. At a certain point, you have to realize when, like, at the scale of money, some of these happenings truly are a drop in the bucket. This IWM thing, I think people are just gearing up. It's a hedge in case the government shuts down the US or the world shuts down the world economy again. But if you're looking for what ETFs they would short to intentionally attack AMC, look for the ETFs that have the most exposure to AMC, because that's the most bang for your buck. Right now, to short IWM exclusively for the concept of bringing down AMC, it would have a 1 in 2,000th impact of what you actually successfully bring IWM down by. Matt, thoughts on the fact that the vote share count on the questions are statistically reveal the share count? The vote/share count on the questions may statistically reveal the share count. No, I don't think we can draw that conclusion at all. Because even people who didn't, the share count came on June 2nd, but right now, I mean, I could just share this, or anyone could share it, and depending on how it goes on social media, you can have a ton of votes and people can vote multiple times on different things. Mathematically, I don't think that's a very dangerous correlation to draw. The Wolverine. Matt, why have you stopped posting GME or text in the morning, Matt? Why is a very... Oh, wait, hang on. I think this just jumped. This was a good question. Where did it go? Oh, Jackie, you don't have to block Jesse from posting that. This is fine. Matt, why have you stopped posting GME or text in the morning? Matt, why have you stopped posting GME or text in the morning? It's because specifically the GME community was more, I guess, just crazy of calling Ortex a like a lie and being bought off by Citadel. And for a point there, the numbers were pretty discouraging, and I just didn't know what it was really doing for the GME community, because every time I posted it, the response of it was like, Ortex is paid off by Citadel. And I was like, okay, well, if you're not finding value in it, I'm just not going to tweet it out. I will, but I still go over it. Like, I'm not shy of showing the community what the numbers are here. Whenever anyone asks, I'm more than willing to give it to you. So I'm not hiding it in any way. Matt, you can only vote if you connect your broker and it automatically adds your share count. You cannot spoof it. Only shareholders can vote. Yeah, but the issue is mathematically it's not advantageous when you can vote on which one you like. You could vote on the very specific one you like, or you could upvote every single question. So mathematically, you can't draw that correlation when you can vote multiple times on the questions you particularly like. And even if it gives you the share count, this has nothing to do with share count. To my understanding, this is... Oh, wait. Is this shares as in social media shares, or all the upvotes? Like, if you upvote it and then your shares added in? I at first just thought this was, but that would be a lot of like social media shares. I just tied this share to this share. But I see what you're saying, that this might be whoever votes, it's kind of the weight of their shares behind it. That's kind of interesting. But still, people, I believe, can vote on multiple things, so that would not be the most useful. Because if I can vote, like, my own shares would add to all the ones I upvote, and then you don't know when people are upvoting multiple things. Most shares, most votes, most recent, most votes. So this one is really ripping right now. 12,000 votes hold 12 million stocks. 12 million votes hold 12 million stocks. Yes, that would be true, but if you can't just add up the entire total. It's not like you could go down and add up all of these individually, the shares, because I think people can vote. They can upvote multiple things, so they're not exclusive votes. Those are your verified shares. You cannot vote more than once, and your vote is counted. Then your shares that are verified are tallied up. So someone clarify this. You can only upvote one question. You're not allowed to upvote multiple questions. Everyone's voting Timothy's question. I mean, it is a good question. There are many good questions. But so some people, I just need to clarify that. Just use the top question. No, I'm definitely getting the point. Just one question. Okay, if you can only vote one question, yeah, then I guess if they are exclusive, you can run through. Some people on Twitter last night were saying you could upvote multiple. I have not myself upvoted one yet. So I do appreciate that you guys are sharing this. You can upvote as many questions. See right here, someone just said you can upvote as many questions as you want. If you can only upvote one, then you could go through and tally this up. That is very fair. But if you can upvote multiple, that is problematic. Good vibes. You can upvote once on each question. Yeah, so the fact that you can upvote multiple kind of means that you can't add these numbers up, because you don't know if people are using multiple votes or not. But I like where your head's at. It doesn't matter how many you upvote. If 100 people vote times the question, it shows 10K stocks. That's an average of 1,000 per vote in that question. Yeah, but if you're looking for the total magnitude of how many shares the retail, the Ape Nation owns, which would involve adding up the individual questions. Just to look at one myopically of just this one, okay, 14.9 million shares. I mean, that's still relatively small when we know that it has an outstanding share count of over 500 million. So the way you would want to use this is if you could, you would add up all the ones to see the total ownership of retail. But the fact that people can vote on multiple upvotes means that you can't really do that. Cartoon pilot, but I was right. So yes, but you can only vote for one response each. So if you look at the top, oh wait, it was retracted. Okay, let me explain what I'm trying to say a little bit more clearly before the market opens. Let's say that I own 1 million shares. If I upvote this, this would go up by 1 million, this would go up by 1 million, this would go up by 1 million. But that doesn't actually, I still only own the 1 million shares. So it wouldn't mean that the total retail count is actually 3 million when I still only own the 1 million. You can look at one individually, but the fact that you can upvote different ones with your same share count, that would incorrectly bloat the total number, the total aggregate number of the shares. You would only tally the highest voted question. Yeah, you could look at that. So if everyone votes on this, like if everyone, I see what you're saying, we could get the number if everyone out there votes on this one. That's what I'm saying is you can use one of these. Like you can get valuable data from an individual questions, not multiple questions. So if every single ape out there voted on this, we could actually get usable data. Once again, you can get usable data from an individual question, just not multiple questions put together. I feel like we're talking about the same thing, but we're coming at it from two different angles. If every single ape out there voted, yes, we could get information. If everyone voted on Timothy B, this question right here, that would be usable data. It gives you an average per holder. I don't think that's what people are going for, Stefan. That's what Reddit is pushing. Vote on Timothy B's question so we get a good sample size of a verified share count. Yeah, I mean, folks, if you rewind the live stream, I was saying you can get data from one individual question if you look at it myopically and just not multiple questions together. I think if you just rewind this live stream, I said that at the exact start. Jack, what's going on? Just pay attention to lovers. Shout out, Jack. It gives you an average of 1,200 shares per voter. In general, we know 4 million shares. So you're saying we could get the average size? Yeah, I mean, the sample size is considerable. That's a lot of votes. So you could see how many shares the average person has, but I don't know if it's really average in the sense that the people who are going to go out of their way to vote and look at this are probably more hardcore apes than like your average person. You can't say that all 4 million people are like this devoted to the cause. But with that, I am behind the concept that everyone should vote because we could use that on an individual one. So if everyone, I guess, logs in, attaches what they need to, you can get some sort of valuable average. But the higher the number, the better. It would be more accurate the more people that vote, obviously. All right, let's get ready. The casino is about to open. So according to the top question, the average shareholder is 1,250 shares. That is the average for that, but also think about who that sample size is. The people who already voted on it within the first day are probably very, very hardcore supporters, and there's a statistical chance that they own more. So as that number goes up, I would expect the average to drop slightly, but it also then becomes more statistically significant. So I'm all for that. If people feel comfortable connecting their brokerage, I am all for that. Someone just said I have 2 accounts. I only voted with 1. The casino is open, folks. All right. Let's do this. AMC out of the gate at 35. GME out of the gate at 155.55. From my experience, it won't let you link your shares from Webull on the Say site. Oh, well, that kind of messes things up because there's a lot of people who previously purchased shares on Webull and really on Robinhood, and they just haven't transferred them out, and they started buying on a new brokerage. Can anyone else confirm that Webull can't connect? I'm just curious about that. There are a few steps for Webull. Do it through Apex. Apex clearing, not Webull. Okay. So if people are having issues with that, a lot of people are just so anyone out there listening, it sounds like a lot of people are saying you can connect it through or not Webull, but you can through Apex. Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate everyone sharing that. Apex clearing needed for Webull traders. Okay, sweet. Sounds like there's a couple steps, but if you want to do it through it, still sounds like it's possible. It's just the amount of shares per individual per question, not all added up. People are trying to average out the average individual shares, then multiply it by the 4 million. Yeah, so I get a little nervous about multiplying it by the 4 million because think about this subset of the people who are going out of their way to figure out the Apex thing and to actually vote. They might be a little bit more of hardcore apes, but it's still probably going to be within the realm. Like I wouldn't imagine a massive drop off. Data is skewed. We can't rely on it. Hunter is pushing it. Yeah, so it is statistically significant, but I'm a little bit questioning of the sample size of the people who are actually voting and putting in their information. So I think as the total number of votes goes higher and higher and higher, I think it's more reasonable to actually multiply it by that 4 million number. I think it's more reasonable the higher the number goes. Morning, Morty. Morning, apes. I'm working on a project for you today, Matt. Can't tell you what, though. It's a surprise that probably came off as creepy. From you, Kinky Kong, never. Turner, what's going on? Is it too early for all this above mustard excrement? More ducks, more frogs, more rockets. Thumbs on chest rhythmically. Shout out, Mikey. So according to the top question, the average voter owns 1,250 shares. Yeah, I mean, actually at this point, I could double check it. It looks like it actually recently jumped up. Let's just double check. What is it? 4.9 and 12.1. 4.9 divided by 12.1. Yeah, about 1,231 shares right now, which is considerable, very obviously considerable. Very high. I mean, because the last time we heard of it, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, in early June, the average person was in at what, like 125 shares or 120 shares, something like that. Interesting. Very interesting. That's way higher. That's obviously 10x. That's huge. That's a huge jump. I mean, that's saying that on average, 1,000, that's a lot of shares. I mean, that's saying that the average person has what, like a $35,000, $40,000 investment into AMC. That's a tough thing to multiply out by 4 million because don't forget, we're coming off one of the most financially difficult years for so many people, not only in the US, but across the globe. To think that from the world opening back up, let's just call it roughly March, from March until now, maybe. I mean, it's obviously possible, but I mean, that's an investment to multiply it out by 4 million. But wow. If true, that is, and it is true thus far. I just want to see more votes. I would love to see the vote go higher and higher and higher. It's interesting. I like whoever thought of that, the first person to get that average size. That's very, very creative. And then the fact that it's verified by this website for the amount of shares, that's very creative. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. You can also argue that there's probably more than 4.2 million retail holders now. Yeah, we know that was from early June. I would statistically, two things what I see, like even in just how the Ape Nation is growing, I believe that we own more than 80% of the float, which we knew from early June. And I believe that there's more than the 4 point whatever million individual retail holders. I think both of those numbers are higher now. A bad analogy, as we might get in the realm of the right state, but not the right county as much as the right city. Some brokers aren't allowing the connection, not just Webull. No hype, manage expectations. This isn't a silver magic bullet. Yeah, it's the same thing as always. I think it's cool for me. Like, that's how I do my trades is data. So like I find it particularly interesting, but like you said, Sean, it's not going to be a magic bullet. I can almost see it a couple days from now, maybe even today. What you're going to see is someone's going to multiply the numbers out and be like, this is the proof of X amount of naked shares. And you can't really draw that connection, especially just for things like this of when you have some brokers that aren't connecting. I don't know, can like a hedge fund log in and also vote and then somehow bloat the numbers? Like, I don't know if BlackRock is allowed to or not allowed to vote on this. And do you know how much that would skew it if one person came in and like got the vote of 30 million shares? So overall, I mean, it comes to the most basic aspect of what's going on of AMC and GME. Whether up or down on a daily basis, up or down, what are we at? Down 2.8% right now. Up or down 2.8%. That doesn't change the fact that there's many, many shorts, we know. And right there, the ape community is diamond handing it. So I don't know if like someone really diving into this vote is going to be like, will that change your opinion, really? I wouldn't, once again, there isn't in my mind a silver bullet, a magic bullet in this scenario. It's good information to know, and I'm not against us getting that information by any means, but us having it or not having it, it's not going to change me and what I'm doing. Like, I still have my shares. Like, with the number does or doesn't come out, that's not going to like somehow, if it's good or bad, like especially if it's bad, it's not like, oh, okay, all of a sudden I'm going to sell now. I like to know the information, but it's not going to change my trade. It's not going to change my thesis on AMC. It's just, I'm still holding. This is from Gorilla Champ. Matt, I have a renewed faith in the naked short theory and believe that there is at least 1 billion shares out there, dropping another 5K on the dip. Moon gang. So it's hard for me to really comment on the size of it, but do I believe that there are naked shorts? Well, of course. And that's just not just like a gut feeling of mine. Look at the FTDs that we saw in June alone. Why was there such a notable spike in FTDs? So I feel like I'm even basing that theory in fact and data. But with that being said, it's really tough for me to say the size because don't forget, those are the FTDs that were actually reported to us. Remember our conversations with Wes Christian? There are certain ways in which an FTD can be created, but then it's not actually, I guess, seen by the DTCC and marked as an actual FTD. Because remember, some prime brokers were caught for marking short positions as long positions. So if they were marked as a long position, it's not going to come up as a naked short. And if it's not coming up as a naked short, it's not going to be registered as an FTD. So the numbers we have, and I say this, and it's really important because you have to know your data, but the best way to view it is literally as a conservative floor value. Anything beyond that, when people throw out numbers there, especially some of these other creators, I don't think that they necessarily understand rehypothecation. Remember, the ownership is 100%. Let's just use AMC as an example right now. And for the ease of math, let's say that there are 500 million shares. Just for the ease of math, I know that there's more. At minimum, at any given time, that means that there's 500 million shares that are owned. The question is like, when we see the number going above that, can that happen in a legal, legitimate scenario? And yes, it can. And that is what rehypothecation is when people own shares, loan shares out, and then that new person short shares to a new owner. So that's how you bloat your ownership above 100%. So for the ease of math, let's say that there's 500 million shares, and out of that, 100 million shares are loaned out and shorted. That means that out of a system that has 500 million shares, 600 million are ownership, which means that you have 120% ownership. I know that's like really crude, just basic math, but I'm trying to explain the system in which even legal, legitimate shorting pushes ownership above 100%. And then it gets even more out of hand when you start talking about illegal naked shorting, that it does the same thing, but even more and more and more. And honestly, in the latter case, I could argue that it has a greater negative impact because you don't know how out of hand those naked shorts got. You don't know how much they were borrowed and then loaned and then borrowed and then loaned. It can just go more and more and more. Cup and handle thus far, I guess on the 1 minute, but a little early to call. I mean, we're only 9 minutes into the day or 11 minutes into the day. I would want to see a little bit more of the price action. Ryan Hamilton, you just said you signed up for the poll, but Webull is not listed. Some people, just anecdotally, what I'm seeing right here is that you have to sign up through Apex Clearing, I believe. What site is the vote on? If you go to Adam Aaron's Twitter page, he has the link, but it is app.saytechnologies.com, AMC 2021-Q2, right up here. Actually, here, I'll put it in the chat for everyone. All right, just dropped it into the chat if you want to see that link. What's the volume? Very low, 6.5 million, and then GME is 421,000. Kind of expected because we saw that the pre-market volume was very low, like abnormally low. So it's not that surprising that today's volume is also low. You need anti-reflective lens on your glasses, but without it, you look like a spaceship that just landed on the moon coming from the shuttle. I just need it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could look for the anti-reflective ones, but I just feel like looking at well, if I look down, like enough of this like downward angle, I think it's all good. I just think that the staring at this computer screen is definitely not good for my eyes for so many hours. Okay, AMC for my audio listeners currently trading at 34.10, and then GME is trading at 152. Let's do a quick Ortex check. Very strange, but it's saying that there's nothing returned or nothing borrowed yet on the day. Same with GME. So thus far, no changes on the day. All right. So we know the RSI on both of these is oversold already, very low. All right, let's check in on the hood. The hood is actually now above its IPO price. Wow. Still would not touch it. Tesla was running yesterday, and then Some people were asking about Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic down 3.77%. And then Tesla is more of the cup and handle right now. Interested to see how this plays off, if it can get above. I believe yesterday Tesla hit 726. Is that right? 726? Okay, 727. Let's get rid of this. $727. Interested to see how Tesla actually plays out. Virgin Galactic, not looking the best right now. SPCE. This one is for anyone who's been paying attention to it, I am definitely leaning bearish on it, and I like the company. I want it to be successful, but right now they're still basically messing around with an additional share dilution. And if you've been following the GME AMC saga, anything about a share dilution, it's really just not good. So I'm going to be bearish on it until they figure out what they're actually doing or not doing with the dilution. Why is AMC dropping? Because people, the buyers and sellers, are agreeing upon a lower and lower price. But any move like this, whether up or down, when it's on such a low volume day, to me that says less conviction. I don't really put much weight on low volume days. Robinhood to Webull completed today. My average dropped to $4. Why? Just a little curious. Yeah, so I saw that there's confusion about like when you transfer. Remember, it does not matter at all. Think of it this way, and I see a lot of confusion, and I think it's important to go over. Let's use you buying a house as an example. If you bought a house for $100,000, the money comes out of your account, the $100,000, and you own that asset. Later, if Zillow or Redfin or someone says that you bought it for $50,000 or $75,000 or $150,000 or $200,000, does it matter to you? Like, because you still own the house and you know you only spent $100,000. So all of a sudden, if Zillow says or Redfin says you bought it for $200,000, that doesn't mean you actually spent $200,000. And I think you could use the exact same scenario when you're transferring stocks. If you buy a share of AMC and let's say it's at $30, $30 came out of your account and that's what you spent, and you transfer it, and then the new brokerage says, no, your average is actually 40 or your average is actually 20. Like, it doesn't matter to you. Financially to you, it doesn't matter because you know you already only spent the 30. And when you sell it, whatever you sell it at, you get that money back. So it doesn't, when you are transferring brokerages and they might mess up your average cost, honestly, it has no impact on you whatsoever. They do usually give you an option where you can edit it just so you can, if you're trying to put in your correct average basis, so you can properly track how much percentage you're up or down or the money you're up or down. But it actually has no bearing on your own financial situation. Def some bullish divergence on AMC on the 1 minute. Shout out Diamond Dow's page. But won't it matter for taxes later? No, because it'll see that your net gain. It still knows your net gain or your net loss. Like, it saw when you bought it and the price you bought it at. Them showing you your average cost, that's just like a UI UX thing. They're just trying to be nice and be like, hey, this is like where you got into it, and then that gets weird when you transfer it. But there's it's referred to, I believe, as the blue sheets. There's actually a ledger of when you truly got in and when you truly get out. Other than that, that's just your brokerage with their own UI UX problems if they're not updating it right from a transfer. What do you think about Cloudflare long term? I like it. I'm a fan of cybersecurity. When can we buy puts on Hood? It depends when they build out the overall. Hang on. Some people are asking for IWM. Looking the exact same. The exact same. When can you buy puts on Hood? It depends when the market makers build out the options market for it. One of these days, they'll start randomly offering it to us, and then at that point, you'll be able to trade it. We're just kind of waiting. And this is typical with a new IPO that it's not really available to you right at first, just because they're getting various things figured out and built. All right, so Tesla weird 722 down to 713 up to 722, and now it looks like it's almost heading back down to 713. Weird, weird, weird. Just sold all of my Bitcoin and bought the AMC dip. Timothy, I hope it works out exceedingly well for you. Webull, apexclearing.com, person icon in the upper right, create user ID, enter account number on Webull, the 8 characters, finish up the username and password, use that account. Cheeto Shane, I appreciate that. So let me reiterate this. For those of you who are trying to vote and you own your shares on Webull, you'll have to go through Apex Clearing. So go to apexclearing.com, click on the person icon in the upper right, create a user ID, enter your account number from Webull, the 8 characters, finish up your username and password, and then use that to connect to the system to do the actual vote. I appreciate you sharing that, Cheeto. If the squeeze starts in between brokerage transfers, are you screwed? It all depends on how long the transfer actually takes. You're screwed in the sense if it hits a level that you're attempting to sell, but if you're in between the actual transfer, well, of course you can't sell then. You have to wait for the transfer to conclude. I went to see my congressman, 4618, and press him about why he voted no. Everyone pressed their reps. Thanks for the breakdown videos. Huge help. Miles away, I'm very curious. What was your congressman's reasoning for voting against it on 4618, the short sale transparency? I'm actually very interested in knowing what the reasoning was. All right, bullish divergence on AMC. CLX is down 20%. That sounds like it has to be some sort of a like fundamental update for it to take such a hit. Can you explain bullish and bearish divergence like I'm 7 years old? Yes, I can. So basically, bullish and bearish divergence, the stock has gone lower, but the RSI has gone higher. Basically, we've gone from 33.86 to 33.60, so we dropped by 20 cents. But in that same time period, the RSI has actually gone higher from 20 up to 30. So that's divergence. Usually they move together. So when you see the stock go lower, but the RSI is going higher, that's referred to as bullish divergence. And if the stock goes higher, but the RSI goes lower, that's referred to as bearish divergence. So it's just basically a mismatch between the price trend and the RSI trend. And there is other forms of divergence, just so everyone knows, but that's probably one of the most common ones that people talk about. All right. GME trying to hold on to that psychological level at 150. It's at 151 right now. AMC is at 33.50, which is a key technical support. So let's see if it can hold there. IWM, it's actually everything across the board is at support right now. I don't know Tesla's supports and resistance off the top of my head. I think 715 is important. If I'm recalling properly from yesterday. But let's see if IWM can actually bounce here or not. Let's see if AMC can bounce. Things are being sold this morning. Sold off this morning. Why is Cash App not showing share count anymore? Scott, unfortunately, I have no clue. I have never used Cash App. All right. Is it going to hold? Hodl, hodl, hodl. All right, AMC, the low of the day is 33.45. We know we have support at 33.50 just from previous daily action. Let me get this. He stated on two questions, me and another I didn't know, said it was attached to a different bill, but it did not sure which one. I'll have to get back to you, then press if it was a separate one or two. It was attached to a different bill. Well, that was the thing, that it was in block. Like they voted on 18 and 19 and some other one together. You can see that in the press release that it was like a block vote. Blah, blah, blah. Where was this? Press release. House Financial Committee. Yeah, it was attached. How do I get this? Here, I'll bring it up for you really quick. How do I see the press releases? Latest news. It is true that there was 3 things attached, but what's funny is the other things that were attached to that are other arguably very good things. Unless this bill would limit the use of family office exemption for registration of an investment advisor with the SEC with 750 million under assets or barred from subject to financial orders of conduct constituting fraud, manipulation. Yeah, so that congressperson's retort to you that vote was attached to other ones. I mean, I could show it to you. It's these 3. 4618, which we talked about. That's the Short Sale Transparency and Market Fairness Act. 4619. This is about the market makers front running their clients and being held legally culpable, the CEO and the person who violated it. And off the top of my head, I don't know 4620. This bill would limit the use of family office exemption from registration as an investment advisor with the SEC to offices with 750 million or less in assets under management to prevent persons who are barred or subject to final orders of conduct. So I don't know which one of these 3 that person, your representative, have an issue with, but the first 2, if it blows my mind. Like, I don't know. I can't really speak to this one because I haven't looked into it, 4620. But for them to act like it's attached to all these other things, I mean, 4618 and 4619, the fact that people are voting for them to not pass it on in committee, it would blow my mind. Like, that blows my mind. Hey, dude, just finished your recent interview. Awesome. Learned a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks for that. Hold on. Hey, I appreciate that. I had a great time doing the interview. It's such a wealth of knowledge to speak with Dave Lauer. So very, very happy about that. I'm happy about how it turned out. I know some of the answers in it were not what necessarily everyone wanted, but the stock market isn't here to confirm anyone's bias. It is very important for us to know what is like actually going on and what's actually not going on. So if you want to learn about dark pools, if you want to learn about payment for order flow from a legitimate expert opposed to just social media posts, I would recommend checking that out. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was absolutely hilarious that there was people on the YouTube, it premiered last night, and Dave Lauer's talking, and I'm reading the comments, and then there was faceless accounts like called random things like Football Forever, like just random faceless, weird named accounts, and they're like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, referring to a person who is a literal expert. And that's what I just, what's that called? The Dunn-Kruger effect, when there's people out there who have like almost no knowledge and they think they're an expert. It was so funny. I forget what the account, it was something like that. It was, maybe there was a team in there, but it was something like Football Forever. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. I'm like, all right, man. Like, come on now. Come on now. Hey, Matt, what's our beta? It depends on what time frame you're looking at. If you're looking at a larger time frame, it's going to be a positive beta. If you're looking at a shorter time frame, it's going to, depending on how short it is, it could be a negative beta. Beta, which is a stock's correlation to the overall, I guess, market, the S&P 500, it does change based on time frame that you're looking at. Is this a classic Dutch tulip? It depends on how it actually reacts to the 3450 area. All right, we're looking to see what IWM is going to actually do. Football forever. Is it? Is it though? Would you recommend tries of wait, Patrick, I'm not sure what you're asking, unfortunately. Hey Matt, have you shared that say link in instructions on Twitter? If not, would you please quack that out? Oh, how did your totally real girlfriend girls trip go with all of the guys that were there? She's actually still on it. She's at a beach somewhere with her friends still. I recognize how bad it all sounds. I do. Yes, I will tweet this out so people can vote. Let me find the link. Adam Aaron. Let me get this link. Right, let me tweet this out there. Don't forget to vote if you want your voice heard. AMC. Don't forget to vote if you want your voice heard. I just threw this out there on the interwebs. Right here. Don't forget to vote if you want your voice heard. Just put it out there. Just so everyone knows, I'm Matt_Kohrs. I see more and more fake accounts. I'm just Matt_Kohrs. Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. Matt_Kohrs, not double underscore. The O is not a 0. It's not LLC. It's not official. I'm literally just Matt_Kohrs. Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. All right. IWM seems to have no clue what it actually wants to do here today. All right. AMC kind of flat right now. GME flat. Makes sense. I mean, the volume is low. GME is traded 875,000. It's trading at 152. AMC is traded 13.6 million and it's at 34. In terms of Ortex, let's see if there's actually an update that we can go over. Nothing borrowed, nothing returned. Does that seem right? Usually you would see something. So not much to report from there as of now. Not much to report as of now. Just so everyone knows, I am long on Tesla, so I would love for this to explode to 750, 775. The sooner the better if possible. But not really that big of a position, just a fun little play. And I was looking for a nice continuation off of yesterday. So I was pretty excited around 9:45 when I thought we were going to set up for the classic Dutch tulip, but I guess not so far. We're hanging out at 712 on TSLA. How is the S&P 500 doing? Selling. S&P 500 selling off this morning. 436. Right now it's trading just below 437 with 436.30 being the low. I mean, stocks in general, like at large, things in the stock market. Here's the Russell 2000 on the left. Here's the S&P 500 on the right. And they're just both down. Like they're just dragging stocks with it. Dragging their brethren down with it. Maybe you already asked, but anyone know if Webull will list for the vote? Not in search, FYI. For others, Chase took a few tries, but eventually worked. Yeah, you have to go through Apex clearing. It sounds like you have to go to Apex's website and then create your account and link your Webull account with it, and you can vote through that. Pickle Me Timbers, I have no clue what you did or didn't say. But it's kind of has the vibe that you're lashing out. Good luck, man. Yo, you mentioned the Dunning-Kruger effect. I remember months ago when I told you about it and you had to look it up. Makes me feel so proud. Shout out, Sam. Matt, do the market makers have T35 for massive amounts of FTDs going back to June 18th, July 2nd? T35 hits around 8-9 for June 18th by my count. The T35, it depends. There are various. T35 is a thing in certain instances, but it's not like at general FTDs with T35. For example, if we were talking to True Demon in the Discord, and he was bringing up the concept of sometimes with these short exempt scenarios, that's more of a T6. So when you're talking about T35, you have to be very, very specific of what aspect of a market maker's actions you're referring to. So with what's yours? Hang on, I'm just trying to find your question here. Do market makers have T35 for massive amount of FTDs? No, you can't necessarily apply that because FTDs can be created by market makers. And the ones you're thinking about, possibly like the short exempt, naked shorting, that's more of a T6 thing. But in general, FTDs can also be created by other players. So you can't apply a T35 timeframe to all FTDs. Matt, is this over? This is my last $5. Should I panic? Joey face. You know you shouldn't panic. You know you're just gonna diamond handing it. Have you or are you voting, Matt? I have not voted. I will vote though. I will vote. I saw the vote go out there, but I didn't even until this morning when I was like reading what was going on Twitter, realize that already so many people had voted. So as of now, I have not linked my Apex account. So when I get through that, I'll probably be able to better assist other people who are having that issue. But and then when I vote, I'll let you know. But I see the validity in us knowing the information about the average share size. So I really like that, and I hope enough people vote that like we're confident in that number. Did we ever get or hear anything on the delayed first half of July FTDs? Yeah, it came out. The numbers were very low. Not that many FTDs for the first half of July. Huge spike in the second half of June. But the first half of July, not many. Are we in a different time frame now since the gamma squeam sees less as options are not as big as a weekly basis? They seem to push this up in June. Jason Sparks, you're going to see more option plays when the stock becomes more volatile. And it can sometimes become one of those scenarios of what came first, the chicken or the egg. But right now, there's less options, money being put into the options market just because the volatility is considerably lower. So they will go hand in hand. We're waiting for this period of consolidation to kind of end. And then I'm expecting after that, we'll see a nice uptick in just the amount of people buying options. All right. Where are we at? Jason, thank you. What is this one? We did hear about those FTDs. I saw this Kimakazi hesitant to give my password out, have 3 different accounts, and one is through my bank. Yeah, I saw that some people had concerns. If you have a concern, don't put yourself at risk then. That's if you're a little hesitant about like logging into this account. Do I trust these websites myself? Yeah, because I don't think the CEO of a company such as AMC would put out a website or a sign up link that could potentially be damaging and like giving away our information or things of that nature. So I am going to trust it, but also understand there is risk. I mean, it's the interwebs, folks. There is always that potential chance of, I don't know, I guess a hacker or something like that. Good morning, Matt. An 8 fan just got back from Vegas and won 3,500 on blackjack, and it's still going to AMC, and it's all going to AMC. To the moon. My wife is mad she didn't go shopping. Told her we will later. 8 fam. Shout out GH, and obviously congratulations. It sounds like you were hot on the blackjack table. All right, what do we have? AMC. AMC. AMC at 33.75. Sorry, I thought I saw some news, but this is breaking about AMD, not AMC. Very close in letters, but 2 wildly different companies. Wildly different. I want to see an inverse head and shoulders and some short covering blast off. Shout out. Shout out, shout out. All right, are we finally going to get this bounce in just the market at large? Tesla, whoa, Tesla falling. It was at 722, then 715. Now it's at 705. Virgin Galactic looks like it's breaking below 30. Virgin, the market is getting hit. Folks. What is going on today? Someone's selling. We can just see that the market at large is selling off today. I really don't think this is an AMC specific thing. I don't think this is a GME specific thing. It's just the Russell 2000 is down 1%. We have the S&P 500 that is down 0.28%. Just threw up Virgin Galactic right here. That is getting hammered. Appreciate you being here every morning. Priceless info. What's your sentiment on Lemonade for the year? LMND bleeding off. So I was in it. I like what the companies do. For those of you who haven't heard about Lemonade, it's a recent IPO, I believe, in 2020, and it's attempting to disrupt the insurance industry, which is definitely overdue for disruption. Obviously, it's a very old industry and nothing exciting has happened in insurance in quite a while. And basically, what Lemonade is attempting to do is using artificial intelligence and things of that nature to make the insurance process better, more efficient, and cheaper. So I like what they're doing. I haven't checked on their stock. I was in it for a while. Back in 2020 when I was making some views, I had this nice run up back here when it was high. And then I kind of got out of it somewhere in this mess. And I haven't watched it since then. I would pay close attention to 80. If you like the company, you could watch 80. If it looks like it's going to hold, you can get in there and maybe pay attention to 116 on the upside. But if it goes below 80, it might be coming back down to 60. If in the scenario it comes back down to 60, I would view that as a pretty awesome buying opportunity. But for right now, for me, it's a no play. But I do like what the company is doing. Its fundamentals are solid. Like I want it to be successful, but the chart leaves a little bit to be desired at the moment. All right. Going to the 3-minute. The 3-minute. 3-minute, 3-minute, 3-minute. Lemonade. I haven't looked at that stock in a while. It's a cool stock. Like I said, I very much want them to be successful. Stepped out a bit. Previous super. Would a dividend expose naked shorts? It would not. Diamond. Whole market is red. Hood is the only green. How obvious. Shout out Mr. Simon. What do we see? It looks like Virgin Galactic might be cracking through 30. It's at 30.07. All right, GME, it sold off this morning sideways. AMC, it sold off this morning and now it's sideways, hanging on to 34. It's at 33.95. GME is at 151. Is this just not updating? The fact that there's nothing borrowed and nothing returned, I find odd on Ortex. Yeah, something must be going on because I just don't think that this is right, that there's nothing on both of these stocks. Let me check out another random stock to see if maybe they're just having some platform issues. Apple. Yeah, something must be going on with their live updates. So we, as of now, are not getting any live updates. It looks like we're kind of waiting on that to see what's actually going to go on. Hippo IPOs today, way better company in my opinion. Lemonade is crap and zero fundamentals. Love you, Matt. Wrong on this one. I don't know much about Hippo, but I don't think Lemonade is crap and zero fundamentals. It's definitely considered by many people. I believe even Warren Buffett has said that it's a disruptor to the insurance industry. So for you to say it has zero fundamentals, like you'd have to have some sort of, like, I guess, data behind that. Because when I look at its earnings, when I look at its growth, there's aspects of it that I think mean it's better than zero fundamentals. What would force them to cover synthetics? Would a margin call force them to treat them equally as regular shares or buy them equally? So this is another terminology issue, and I don't know where people are getting it from, but you don't cover synthetics. You would never cover synthetics. You would cover naked shorts, and naked shorts are what create synthetic shares, but you don't cover synthetics. You cover a short position, you cover a naked short position. And to clarify, when you naked short, the shares that someone is buying that no one should have ever been selling, those ones are the synthetic counterfeit shares. So that's a long position. Someone out there owns shares that they bought from a naked shorter. They own counterfeit shares, phantom shares, synthetic shares. These ones are not covered. That person is just long on the stock. You would cover a short position. You would cover a naked short position. Counselor Murray. Jackson Hunter be like, listen, I don't care if Grinch stole Christmas, shorts still haven't covered. LOL, hodl apes. Shout out Counselor Murray. I hope you're still rocking your Ethereum, man. Thoughts on pins? Zip Trader talked about it yesterday as a dip buy opportunity. I don't know much about pins, but let's check out its chart. What is it? Oh, Pinterest. I do know about Pinterest. So obviously they got absolutely hammered on their earnings. And we have this gap fill. So I do agree with Zip Trader that it is a dip buying opportunity. The question is, when is the dip buying opportunity? Personally, I think the closer to 54, the better. I'm just looking at this low. We also have 50. I would look for somewhere between 50 and 54, just to minimize my risk. Do I think eventually Pinterest will fill this gap between, what is this high? 60.88 and this low of 70.35? Yes, I do. I do think it will fill this gap. It's just a question of when. That's obviously a very, very important question. So to help minimize my risk, I would look for somewhere between 50 and 54. And I do agree with Zip Trader that it'll probably make some money if you have the patience on it. Hey Matt, could GME price drop, keep it out of the upcoming S&P move? No, because usually when it's announced, it's already going to be a done deal. They don't really walk back their announcements, and it's not going into the S&P 500. Just so everyone knows, it's going into the S&P 400, which is the mid cap selection by Standard & Poor's. Watch out for bit. So what I'm saying though is pins is a trade. I'm not saying it's a fundamental investment. I don't know about the fundamentals. I'm looking for reversion and a gap fill. It might come up to 70 and completely drop off. I look at it as more of some sort of weird medium term trade. I'm not saying I don't know about its fundamentals, so I don't know how it would stand up as a long term hold. I find it market I find it hilarious that the market will hold trading if the stock skyrockets like it did in May, but if not hold trading if the stock crashes. It does. A stock halt is for a percentage move. It has nothing to do with the direction. It's called a volatility halt. If it moves X percent in a certain amount of time, whether up or down, that's a halt. And the brokerages don't decide it. It's not like Robinhood decides, Webull decides, or Fidelity decides. The stock market decides, and it's not even a human. It is like a program watching all stocks, and when it moves X percentage in a certain amount of time, whether up or down, it gets halted. And right now, nothing on the screen right now has a considerable move. I mean, 4%, 3%. It has to move, I believe it's like 10 or 15% within like 5 minutes to get the halt. People are saying Hood is ripping. Wow. Hood broke out of 40 and is on the move to 41.40. It's up 10%. Do you know, can we guess how many synthetic shares exist? No, you cannot. I've seen no reasonable mathematical explanation that puts out how many naked shorts there are. I mean, by definition, a naked short is a short that was never borrowed. And since it was never properly borrowed to go out on loan, it was never reported. So we're kind of, when you're talking about naked shorts, you're kind of in the dark when you're looking at the number. And anyone out there who's telling you there's X amount of naked shorts, my first question would be like, what is your reasoning and what is your data source? Because beyond that, like, it's inherently they're not reported. That's why they're a naked short. So where are they possibly getting that number from? I know people like will really put on their tinfoil hats and they'll be like, but Robinhood said it has a market cap of this, and that's different from these other ones. So Robinhood is the one exposing naked shorts. Robinhood has no clue about the naked shorts because Robinhood isn't the one making naked shorts. Naked shorts are made by prime brokers, not the brokerage. You can't short on Robinhood. So people love to put on their tinfoil hats and run with theories that don't really have any merit. But maybe like, I'm not saying that they're bad, because if we do it enough, maybe someone will crack the code. I'm not against people putting out their theories or putting out, like, testing some sort of a hypothesis. Not at all. In fact, I think the exact opposite. I like it. I like it a lot because that shows that people are creative and diving into it like Sherlock Holmes. So I'm in no way against it. But when people test the theory and they test the hypothesis and they say, hey, I got an email from Robinhood saying it was a mistake and it's going to be updated, people get too emotionally invested in their own theory. I love the fact that this community at large is going into some of the most hardcore research in DD, but it's bad when it's disproven and then people get like emotionally pissy about it because you disprove what they just said. That's not good. We should think about this like scientists and research and be like, okay, like, we disproved it. Okay, move on with your life. There's too many people who are emotionally tied to their own DD. How are we going to win if these hedge funds keep on manipulating the price? Would it not be a losing battle? I don't know if I agree with the fact that it's a losing battle. Do I think that they're manipulating the price? Yeah, I do. Do I think they're manipulating the price so omnipotently that they can control it every single day, every single tick? No. And my evidence for that is what AMC did in early June, what AMC did in late January, and what GME did in late January. If they could manipulate it, we would have never seen any of those events ever. So do I think that they're manipulating it? Yes. Let me retract my words. Do I think they're manipulating it? Yes. Do I think they can do it to such a degree that they can stop a squeeze? No, I do not believe that. So yes, manipulation, but the question is, to what degree are they manipulating it? And like, is there a manner in which we can catch them in the manipulation and stop it, or just produce so much buying pressure that we overwhelm the manipulation? But overall, Luke, I don't think it's a losing battle. And in fact, it's not even really an opinion. I just factually know it's not. We're not just arbitrarily fighting a losing battle. Look at early June, look at late January, AMC, GME. There's proof right there. The proof is in the chart that we can have an incredible run, catch the hedge funds, and make a lot of money. The proof is literally within the last 6 months for both of the stocks. Can I look at body, BODY, on Ortex? Yes, I can. Ortex. Beach body. All right, while I'm pulling this up, hang on one second. Where is this? It has an okay short interest, but nothing that would tell me it's going to have a short squeeze. The short interest on BODY is 7.58%. So half of AMC and GME. What about CRSR? I'm a fan of the gaming industry for sure. And it had a gap down. So overall, just me knowing how quickly and how rapidly the esports industry is growing, it makes me kind of bullish on CRSR. I want to know a little bit why it gapped down. I feel like there has to be some sort of news. So my first suggestion would be look into that news, and there might be a bit more of a downside, so you might be able to get it for cheaper around 24. I would, okay. I think here's maybe a healthier way to look at this concept of manipulation and hedge funds suppressing the price. In a certain essence, when people are talking about the price being lower than it should be, think about it this way. If you go and you're trying to buy something from whatever, your favorite convenience store or whatever, you're just trying to get it. And let's say that you're buying something from Walmart, Target, or Amazon. Let's just say Target. You're buying something from Target and they underprice it. In this case, Target is the one controlling the prices, as in market makers are the one controlling the price. You're a shopper, which means you're also, in this analogy, this metaphor, an ape, diamond-handed AMC GME hodler is the same as a shopper at this Target. So the Target is the market maker. The shopper is the ape. If they're continually underpricing something and selling it for a very cheap price and you think it has more value, in a certain way, that's very good because you're buying it on a discount. Right now, if you think AMC is truly worth more than 34, 22, 21, whatever it is, you should be ecstatic, honestly. Because you're buying it on a discount. You are literally buying it on a discount. If there's a shirt at Target you want that says too harmful, too dangerous, and it's normally worth $50 and you could buy it for $48, that's a $2 discount right there. So right now, if you are of the opinion that AMC is worth more than this for whatever reason, whether it's hedge funds suppressing it, market makers suppressing it, whoever's suppressing it, in a certain way, you almost should send them a fruit basket at Christmas time or send them a thank you card because they're allowing you to buy it for cheaper than it truly is. So, and you can only do that for so long, like Target. So like I get the follow up on that. It's like, well, what if they suppress it for so long that like they just run it down? Well, you can only offer things at a discount for so long. They have a lot of money, but they don't have an infinite amount of money. Every single day that this continues, there are costs to borrow fees. Every day that this continues, someone is closer and closer, as in another hedge fund player, to figuring out what these market makers are doing, and then they're going to take them to the wood chipper. Like every single day that this goes on, it becomes a worse and worse scenario for the market makers and the people actively betting against it. And if in the meantime, when we're waiting for this nexus event to occur, if they're suppressing it, send them a fruit basket. You're getting a discount. If you think AMC is worth more than 34.15 and these market makers are suppressing it, which I'm of that opinion, they're the ones giving us, we're able to buy more shares for cheaper then. Remember, when you see the stock being red and getting sold off, if you like that stock, that's your opportunity to buy. Not just for AMC and GME. You want to buy when things are depressed in their price and they're lower and they're at a support. You don't want to buy it when it's at a new all-time high and it's ripping or anything like that, because that increases your chances of being a bag holder. You very much want to shop on these discounts. And if in this scenario, this particular discount is being created by a hedge fund or a market maker or whoever in this very particular scenario, you should thank them. You should be like, all right, sweet, I was able to get more for less money. Like, that's a good thing. I mean, if you own AMC, would you rather buy it at 34 or would you rather buy it at 68? Like, you could get 2 shares now for the price of 1. They're running a 2-for-1 sale if we're running up. So I think there's a proper way for us in the ape community to think about this right now. And if we truly believe, I mean, I know what I think. I don't know what you think. You obviously have to make these decisions for yourself. But in my opinion, if per share, if AMC is worth more and it's being suppressed, oh, sweet, I'm just buying it because that's how I make money then. I want to buy it when it's undervalued and then sell it when it's overvalued. Like, that's the whole game of the stock market, is buy something that people are somehow misinterpreting its current value. For this one right now, I don't think its value necessarily comes from its fundamentals. I think its value comes from the fact that I think all these shorts could get caught. I think the SEC is looking into manipulation. I think the market makers are going to get caught. I think the hedge funds are going to get caught. I think the prime brokers are going to get caught. I think the fact that the 3 of them can get caught, and in the meantime, they're paying money to be in this play, as in the cost to borrow fee. Well, right there, I think that's the value. I think when they get caught, there's going to be a short squeeze. I see value in the short squeeze beyond $33.93 a share. So I view this as a discount, and I'm happy to buy the discount. If Trevor is going to jail for promoting the sale of real shares for a fake company, what happens to the guy selling fake shares of a real company? I mean, that's I guess up to lawyers. I have definitely no legal expertise, but it sounds like if you were to do it with money, create fake money, like, you're going to prison. So I don't know why it's different with stock. If naked shorts are not reported and thus unquantifiable, how can we confidently say all naked shorts have to be covered too? All naked shorts have to be covered. All naked shorts have to be covered. So first of all, I can't speak. I don't know who said the statement, all naked shorts have to be covered. I'm looking at the shorts and naked shorts being covered when the stock goes up. Because if it's a short or a naked short, when the stock goes up, they're still losing money. Naked shorts are illegal, but that doesn't mean that they're still going to make money if the stock goes down, and they're still going to lose money if the stock goes up. There's a certain point where if it goes up so high, they're going to hit their risk tolerance and they're going to have to cover, because they're either going to get margin called, or before that, the prime broker is going to step in and be like, hey, your account is getting out of hand. You need to close your position. If you have a naked short, you still lose money when the stock goes up. That's inherently still part of what we're saying. When a short squeeze occurs, short or naked short, there is a point where they're going to cover because they don't want to lose more money. It's not like they have an infinite amount of risk allocated to them. For their specific AMC position, market makers or hedge funds, when they're in it, it doesn't really matter short or naked short. A stock goes up, they're losing money. There is a risk tolerance where they're going to cut, and then after that, they're going to get margin called. It's not naked shorts are not only profitable positions. If it goes up, they lose money. That's what we're looking for. This concept of being forced to cover, a scenario in which a short or a naked short is forced to cover is a buy-in, which is more of like when you have long positions closing it out and the broker needs money, or if you're margin called. Those are the two scenarios in which, and maybe there's more, but those are the two main scenarios in which the person trading does not get the decision. It's forced upon them. The next realistic thing where it's still the trader's decision is basically when you hit the risk tolerance. And then after that, it's going to get worse. But that's what I was just talking about with a margin call. So when people are forced to cover, those are the scenarios, a buy-in and a margin call. And before a margin call, you might just see that they hit their risk tolerance and just cover their position. I'm trying to think of any other ways where like an external force would force you to cover. I guess another potential one is the threshold list, when we know that the FTDs have to be taken care of. So someone might have a naked short, and one of the ways that they could be taken care of is if the prime broker goes out and properly locates the shares, and it goes from being a naked short to a legitimate short. And at that point, though, we would see it being reported because we'd see the short interest go up, because the fact that they properly borrowed the shares means that it is reported, and then we would see that information. Obviously, this is getting very deep in the weeds of what does or doesn't happen. So I don't know if there's a blanket answer to saying, what was this one? What was the exact chat? Sorry. All naked shorts have to be covered too. It still comes back to the particular scenario. Is there situations in which they have to be covered? Yes. Margin calls, buy-ins, they will still apply. Sent you a DM on Twitter about a shirt I want to send you. We are Ape. I would love you, dude, and support. And you have given me HODL forever. I will. Shout out, Dan. Apex wouldn't let me connect my Webull AMC shares, only connect my IRA, which I have 0 shares, but thank God for public. Reminder, hedge funds likely don't know their short is naked. That is a very, very good point, Ducky Financials. There is a legitimate chance that the hedge fund does not know that they have a naked short. There's a misconception that I guess hedge funds call up and they say, like, don't hit the short button, hit the naked short button. It doesn't really work like that. The hedge fund calls up and says, I want to go short. And the prime broker is like, oh, okay, I want your business. They're like, sweet, go short. And then it becomes a naked short when the prime broker does not locate the shares to actually short. It's all about locating shares to successfully borrow. They might know, I guess, that they're naked short, but there's also a chance that the hedge fund has no clue that they have a naked short position. I stopped referring to the price as much and now pay attention to the share count. It keeps going up in shorts. We'll have to buy at some point. Wait, where are you seeing the share count going up? I haven't seen the share count change in a while. It's still been around 513 million shares. Matt, Kohrs is totally real 10K run. I'm curious where you're getting the fact or the information that the share count is rising. So Hood is up and we are down. So is the life of an ape. Matt, I swapped from Robinhood to Webull. I started trading options, sold some calls. Why does it take so much longer for funds to settle than in Robinhood? The funds should settle. Wait, funds to settle for the transfers. You might just have a different type of an account, a margin account versus a cash account. If both of them are margin accounts, the settlement should be the same. Oh, he's talking about his personal shares. Oh, okay. To my share count. Sorry, Matt Kohrs totally real 10K. My bad. To your share count, and you see that going up and up. I like it. I like where you're coming from. I like that a lot, man. This whole thing stinks. Every day we find out more. Thoughts on contract expiring the 6th, priced 36,107. I am not playing AMC options right now. It's too low of volatility for me, and the volatility is actually going lower. I do not think this is a good time to get into AMC calls until we see more volatility. Naked simply means the investor who sold the contract does not actually own the shares they plan to sell. No. A naked short, well, first you need to understand what a short is. A short is when you borrow shares from someone and then sell them to the market to a new owner. A naked short is when you sell shares to the market, but you never borrowed them from an original owner. I have noticed bullish technicals not playing out more than normal recently. Can this be reflected on low volume, or is it more likely manipulation? It would have to, you would need some sort of backing besides just saying bullish technicals not playing out. It's very common on smaller time frames throughout an intraday basis for the technicals to not really follow through at like 100% accuracy. So it's important of like what bullish technicals you're talking about. Some technicals are stronger than others. Some time frames are stronger than others. It's really easy to like, I guess, follow through or not follow through on like a 1 minute technical. It's a little bit different if you're looking at a bigger time frame. So Guy, I would need a little bit more info of just like specifically what you're looking at. Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Never forget we own the float, possibly up to 10x. The whole thing, the hole they're in costs them millions upon millions daily interest. I hodl knowing the squeeze is inevitable. SHF are screwed. We win. I would be very careful to say inevitable. I've never ever come across anything related to the stock market that is ever guaranteed. And I don't think it's safe to think of anything guaranteed. The stock market is not an entity that deals in the world of 100% probability or 0% probability. It is very much the gray area in between. I just like wouldn't say inevitable, because that when people say inevitable, that means that you're underestimating our opponent. And the moment we start underestimating hedge funds, market makers, and Wall Street at large, I think that's when we're at our weakest then. I think it's very, very dangerous to underestimate our opponent. Very dangerous. Can Will Say Technologies share the retail ownership metrics with us? Should that be able to get a good idea of the actual current retail ownership? Also, how likely is a share recall? A share recall? I don't think likely at all. And I don't think Say Technologies is going to share the info with us. That's on us to kind of like compute ourselves. I'm studying for my SEI exam, so thank you for clarifying. Drink on me. Cheers. Shout out. Forget the mother of all short squeezes. Do you think that there will be a pop like June anytime soon? Not a fortune teller. I mean, I don't know. I wish I could say, oh, we're gonna see another pop like June, like in X amount of time, and then we all load up on shares and options and make a stupid amount of money to have more money for just the investment into AMC. But I don't know. I'm here. I see what you guys are seeing. I have no special insight. I'm here watching the stock day in and day out, trying to study up on the news, trying to figure out what's going on, the same as you. I have no special indication of what AMC will or won't do tomorrow. I look at levels of support to buy, and then I look for levels of resistance for an official breakout. Thoughts on Xcla, bought in at $2, earnings, TA Kohrs. So Xcla we looked at yesterday. Oops. And I was looking for that breakout around 3 or right above 3. And it broke about. So I really wanted to hold above the high from July 21st and July 27th. If it can hold above that, 330. I mean, it is looking strong. This is not the time to create a position. You said you created a position at $2, which is awesome. It means you must have been in since early July. And it put in a higher low. I mean, it's looking strong. It's just not the point that I would personally chase. Someone said, let's bring in a members only chat. Is there really that much FUD going on? AMC. I mean, if you guys know there's actively FUD, then you just ignore it. You just say, oh, okay. Like, it's pretty obvious to notice a lot of the FUD going on. So you see it and you just say, okay, that's a person who's trying to spread FUD. Remember, one of the biggest worries about this community is just being infiltrated by people. Lots of ignorance, probably. I mean, I'm not even really. Who is it? You guys need to find a real ape to watch, like TMI. TMI is a real ape, but with that connotation of me not being a real ape, I feel like you have no clue what you're talking about then. Just look at like this catalog I have on YouTube of supporting AMC and GME. Is FUD necessarily a bad thing? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt? Yes. Is it a bad thing to have a balanced opinion and fairly hear out people who have a dissenting opinion and try to understand what they're saying? No, not at all. In fact, I think it's better to listen to and hear out people who are against us than I do people who support us. Because if you support us, like, well, then that's everyone just like patting each other on the back of like, yeah, I agree with you. You agree with me. Great, 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 great. Like, what do you learn from that? That's just, it's forming more of an echo chamber, and I don't think that's good. If anything, you should be able to hear the people who are speaking out against you, understand their argument, and be able to come back and explain why they're wrong or why you disagree or poke holes in their argument. Haters gonna hate, let them go. Like Matt said, just ignore the lane. Yeah, if someone's just being some sad keyboard warrior, like whatever. Like honestly, as this goes on, I feel worse and worse for them. I truly do. Because I realize that they just don't like have really much going on in their life. Like at first, I think it's a natural emotional defense to be like, oh, like why are they like talking crap? They don't know, like, what have they done? Like you get defensive as a human. But as time has gone on, these like sad, pathetic keyboard warriors, I feel for them because they are sad. They are pathetic. Like, and I hope they find what they're looking for in life. Like I do, because obviously it's not a good way to live to be on some random YouTuber stream and commenting something negative or hateful. That's, I have a lot of empathy for that because like wherever they are in their life, obviously they're not happy with it. And I truly do feel for them. Long time hype. Hodling over 1,200 shares. Do you think the looming lockdowns are going to crush the market? Not being FUD, just current. Thanks, man. I don't know if we... Is that the way... Is that where we're really heading? Like, I really don't know how the world, and especially the US, is going to react to another lockdown. Like, obviously, it's just not going to be good. Now, it's a completely different question of how will it impact AMC. Obviously, a lockdown will hurt AMC's fundamentals, but if you're in this, you're in it because you know it's not a fundamental play. Like, it should be very clear that AMC is beyond fundamentals right now. I don't think anyone's hiding that. So it would hurt the fundamentals. It depends on how much a lockdown would embolden the shorts. Would they double up their position and provide a lot of selling pressure? It depends on how the rest of the market reacts to that news and how they decide to play it on AMC. But in terms of apes, I don't think any ape is out there saying, oh, if there's a lockdown, I'm going to get rid of AMC. I think the apes are strong, so I'm interested to see in how the remainder of the market reacts to it. The Sean Williams Motley Fool guy is ridiculous. He is obsessed with crapping on AMC. Yeah, he's just another sad keyboard warrior. He's like a professional keyboard warrior. Sean Williams. Whatever. I feel for him. Okay. Hey, brother, I want to say that we really appreciate that you're here every day and just excited as day one. You keep me motivated when I have doubts. Shout out. I'm a keyboard lover, not a keyboard fighter. That's hilarious. Isn't it good to buy options with far out expiration and strike because they are cheap? IV low, yes, but it is beneficial in the long run. Yeah, but you want to do it ideally when you're bottom ticking the IV, and right now the IV is still kind of trending downwards. So you want to like buy it at the lowest IV right before we start swinging back up. And right now that's not what the IV is doing. They don't cover, I don't sell. Yeah, Bobby, I agree with you. I mean, I think some people are trying to overcomplicate this every day. And I don't know if it's just because they want to write something on Twitter. I don't know if it's because they need to post a YouTube video. I don't know if it's because they have to write a Reddit post. But we have people really diving into things that we can keep this so simple. Look at the stock chart and have the shorts covered. Like, it can honestly be that simple. Is the Ape Nation still a huge community? And on top of that, we are still growing. Are the shorts still in it? Oh, okay. Like, then I'm not going to cover. Like, this trade, if you wanted to, you don't have to learn anything about options, IV, threshold list, this SEC filing, that SEC filing, what's going on with this interviewer, what did that Reddit just post, what's going on with the votes that are coming in for the next earnings announcement. If you wanted to, you could literally be like, on a daily basis, be like, oh, are there still a lot of shorts in AMC? Okay, cool. I'm going back to Netflix. Like, you could live your AMC life that easily. Like, you don't have to get involved in the weeds of what's going on. You don't have to get involved in the social drama of the group. Like, anyone out there, you do have the option of just saying, okay, the stock's trading at this. There's this many shorts that we know of as a conservative floor value. And from there, you could just kind of like, oh, okay, catch you guys tomorrow. I think people are starting to get a little stir crazy about the specific things involved in it. What is the average day of the short shares right now? I can look that up for you. AMC going up 41. We are getting higher and higher and higher, folks. The on loan, the short, wow. Yeah, so right now 41.44 days on AMC. That's quite a bit of money that they're spending on these cost to borrow fees. Where do you track IV on Webull? Alexander, for me, I don't track it on Webull. I actually use the Thinkorswim TD platform. But it might be somewhere on Webull. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that's what I'm used to checking myself. Matt, I suspect there will be a good number of apes shares purchased by apes after they get done making big money day trading hood, looking very nice. Could be. I'm not in hood, just so everyone knows. I have no hood position. The higher it goes, the more it makes me want to short it, in all honesty. But as of now, I have no hood position. But I'm trying to think of if I made any other position. I thought Tesla would keep running. I'm still long on Tesla. I have shares, but I've had shares since 2020. So that's really not anything new. And I'm close to, but I have not yet reverted back to my like day trading Tesla days. I miss those days. That's when I was at my prime. Is this what you're seeing for AMC? Did they just update it? I don't know why I'm not seeing any of these numbers come in. Okay, they're finally coming in. It looks like just super low volume, super low interest in AMC. 64%, short interest of 15%. 64,000 net borrowed against it. 64,000 with a short interest of 15%. In terms of GME, a net return of 2,000. So really not much going on in the world of shorts today, at least according to Ortex. This is a siege. Access the situation, wait, and react. What's the difference between puts and shorts? A lot of difference. A put is a contract where you're basically the right to sell a stock at a certain value on or before a certain date, while a short is just you're betting on the stock directly going down. if you buy a put, you still want the stock to go down, but it does have different, I guess, connotations. How's there little interest if this is supposed to be the mother of all short squeezes? I guess my retort to that would be just look at the chart in March, April, and half of May. Just because something is being traded at a lower volume and lower volatility, that doesn't mean that it can't lead to a huge short squeeze. I don't know the correlation that you're seeing there. Update on FTDs, Matt, please. So the FTDs came out for the first half of July, and there was no notable spikes in FTDs. I think less than like 100,000 maybe, or right around 100,000 in totality. Very, very low. Very, very different from what we saw in June. Very different from what we saw in June. Did you register your share count for the vote? Not yet. I'm just learning actually from the stream today that I need to go to Apex and do it through Apex because you can't directly do it through Webull. But I will be doing that because I want to vote. What's the TA daily or weekly? Right now, we know we have support on AMC, kind of right in this region we're at. There's scattered support around 33.50. We know we have some between 30 and 32. An important one, I believe, at 31, that recent low from a couple weeks ago. So right now, AMC is not only oversold, but it's in a pretty important region of support. What is the RSI showing? I mean, I could show you on this time frame, but remember the RSI changes per the time frame you're on. On the 3-minute time frame for the day, we are seeing some bullish divergence, and we're also seeing that it's oversold. Verified share app from Adam Aaron. You think it's real? Yeah, I mean, the fact that Adam Aaron shared it tells me it has some legitimacy. Like, that's not a fake Adam Aaron account. All right, I think that's all of that. Vinges, Vin, what is your name? Vin, I am seeing that same thing. Kathy Wood bought a lot of shares of Hood. Ugh. That makes me like her a little bit less. I'm a fan of Kathy Wood, but not a fan of that particular purchase. AMC currently at 33.16 and GME currently at 151. Did we go over the share registration thing not being mentioned a lot on Reddit? PS Go Cowboys. A little bit. I was a little bit behind the ball because I'm just not. I don't really read Reddit anymore. I think it's infiltrated. And it sucks because I know on top of that, there's a lot of good information, but I have reason to suspect that it has been infiltrated, which is a bummer because there's like absolutely phenomenal information in there. So the share registration, we kind of went over it this morning. I think it's a good idea. So that's another example of like, I wish I was still reading Reddit because I like what people are talking about, because if everyone upvotes this one, it gives us an idea. The more people that upvote it, the more statistically accurate we'll get the average ownership size. So I believe that's the going thing. Specifically on this Timothy B thing, if you are comfortable with it, registering your shares and then voting, it gives us a concept of the average APES AMC position size. So it is kind of interesting, and we can get good information from this. So for what I know of what they're attempting to do, I am supportive of it. I believe the concept is, if you're comfortable with registering, which would involve a connection to your brokerage, you would be able to vote. And then when you do a vote and you can see the total shares, you get a rough estimate. And the more votes, the less rough it becomes, the more perfectly accurate it becomes. Gives us an idea of how many shares each ape owns on average. So I mean, like I said, and I need to look a little bit more into it, and I will do that this afternoon. But to my understanding of what we've gone over in chat thus far today, I think it's a pretty creative way for us to get more insight. Someone just said refresh it. We're up to 17. Yeah, no, this is 16.8 and 14,000. Which part of openly declaring we committed fraud and we will do so in the future is making people buy HOOD? That's a good question. If a stock can't be bought without there being a seller and vice versa, how does RSI fluctuate? Presumably, in the order of a stock to be overbought, it must be simultaneously oversold. No, not at all. RSI, you have to understand how RSI is calculated. RSI is a calculation on a certain block of the most recent bars for whatever time frame you're on, of what direction are they going and to what degree, what velocity are they going in that direction. RSI is not the thing that somehow disproves with every buyer and a seller. The concept that for every buyer there has to be a seller and every seller there has to be a buyer, that is one of the just most core accurate axioms of the overall market. That is very important to understand, and any somewhat educated to expert level trader, investor, just someone who has knowledge of Wall Street, no one disagrees with that. Like across the board, if someone is disagreeing with the fact that every buyer needs a seller and every seller needs a buyer, if someone disagrees with that, like if you're seeing some sort of, I don't know, video or something like that, or a Twitter or a post on Reddit, it just shows that that person literally has no clue what they're talking about. It is inherently just how we work, and then off of that you build on supply and demand, and that is just a core axiom of our stock market. Is you're facilitating buyers connecting with sellers. You don't buy from the ether, you don't sell into the ether, ever. It's just not how our market works. If it did work that way, we would have so many more issues than you can like possibly imagine. And now to come back to your question about RSI, RSI is just a calculation on how the bars are moving over the most recent X block of these bars. If you want to know that math exactly, I already have a video on this channel. If you just search Matt Kohrs RSI explained, you'll know what RSI is, some trading strategies, and the math behind how RSI is calculated. All right. That's a good question though, Colin. Thank you. Verified share app for Adam Aaron. You think that's real? I do think it's real. Okay, folks, it is just past 11 a.m. So here is the dealio. We're going to be going over to the, if you look pinned to the top of chat, there's a new channel. It's going to be some lo-fi music, and I'll have up AMC, GME, and whatever other stocks you guys want up there. But that's what we're going to do for the midday session. So if you guys want to continue to chat and hang out and just have some lo-fi music in the background, look at the channel pinned to the top of chat. That's where it's happening. And we'll be doing that. But I will see you at 2 p.m. So I'll come back 2 p.m. Eastern, and we'll do the afternoon session. Thank you for all of the support early this morning, and I'll catch you in a couple hours. Thank you.